The weekly bonus event is the weekly quest bonus. The weekly quest bonus? No. Hey everybody, welcome to the Lionspridetavern podcast number 60. Tonight we find out how we did in last weekend's raid, and birthday wishes do come true. Plus, I seriously love the new heavy metal intro music from Vincent Moretto. But before all that, let's start off with introductions. I'm your host, Stafford. I play a Dwarven Beastmaster Hunter in the awesome game World of Warcraft. Next up is JobUi.
Hi, I'm JobUi. I play a Worgen Frost Mage.
Lorelei.
Good evening, it's Lorelei, your native Fury Warrior.
Epistle. Up north it's getting colder, isn't it?
It's been a lovely, beautiful weekend, and we're going well below freezing this weekend, and yeah, we're filled with dread. But I play two Protection Paladins, both a Draenei and a Dwarf. The Dwarf's almost 110, but not quite.
Awesome. And Tapachino.
Hey, it's Tapachino, your sometimes absent night elf restoration druid.
But I heard you went to the fair and you rode some rides.
I did. We have a big amusement park nearby called Canterbury Lake Park. They have a great Scream festival every year at this time of the year.
And did you scream?
Loudly and often.
She screamed, we all screamed.
For ice cream. Nice. So everybody else had a good week?
Yeah, not bad. My guild got down heroic kill Jaden.
Oh, very nice.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Nice.
I've
Congrats.
been working on that for a couple of weeks.
I mentioned that was a celebration.
Oh yeah.
I've just been making Halloween costumes for my kids all week for the most part.
Yep, that's just around the corner.
It sure is.
2 days from this podcast air.
Yeah, we don't get many kids at Halloween at the Tapachino household. We just put out a bucket of candy and bring it in the next day.
80% chance of rain here. We may not see any great costumes this year.
Well, he might be a little soggy.
And saggy.
Or both.
Or both.
Yeah, it's supposed to be cold here, but it seems like doable. You know, I've like I remember being when I was a kid, trick-or-treating, and it was snowing back in Michigan. But so, a little bit of cold isn't so bad. Just bundle the kids up a little extra.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I seriously believe that the weather pattern's changing, because, my God, I remember when I was little, tromping around in 2 feet of snow, I had to put on a spacesuit snowsuit and then my costume just to go trick-or-treating.
Yep.
Yep.
And it's going to be like, I think they're predicting something like 50s for me around where I'm at right now. But that could change. I mean, that's still a few days out on the prediction thing, so we'll see.
Yep, very true.
We've got the battle of the outdoor decorations going on in the neighborhood, and between the house across the street with the orange lights all over the place, and then the porch light that blinks on and off all night long, and the next door, the house with the security light that goes on every time a fly flies by it. I don't have to turn lights on my house at night.
Yeah. There's a person down our street that has, man, they have seriously gone all out. There is like very little, like I'm not even sure there is actually any space left in their yard. It's like wall to wall, like from their driveway all the way across their entire front of their house. It's all Halloween decorations. There's so much of it.
Yeah,
Got a house up the street that they have a full-size wooden buckboard sitting in the yard, being pulled by a full-size horse skeleton, and then a human skeleton sitting in the driver's seat.
Wow.
Nice.
I don't know where they're going to put all that stuff when Halloween's over.
Yeah, I got a neighbor that goes full out on Halloween, but only when it's on the weekend. He does a huge party, people parking in the roads, Monster Mash playing in the background, He has it all outside in a barn.
Wow, that's so cool.
Well, let's get on with it. How did we do this weekend, JobUI? To cap us off.
All right, so we did very, very well, I think. We had a very smooth Friday night run. I mean, it was a little sloppy on some of the kills. I mean, there's still mechanics being messed up that shouldn't be getting messed up as much as they are, but we didn't have a lot of wipes or anything. We got through Goroth, Demonic Inquisition, Harjatan, went on to Sisters of the Moon, and we got Sisters of the Moon, I think, down to something like 5%, which was one of our best pulls at that point on Sisters of the Moon, which was a pretty good night for us. Came back on Saturday, slightly different team, different makeup. Went after Sisters of the Moon for a while and got Sisters of the Moon down for our first Sisters of the Moon, first one that I've been there for anyway. Got Sisters down, went on to Mistress Zine, wait, did we get Sisters down on the Friday? Or was that Saturday?
No, I think we did that Saturday.
Okay, yeah, we did. We finished it on Saturday, and then we went to Mistress Zine. We spent a good amount of time on Mistress Zine, about an hour or so, hour and 15 minutes. But we ended up taking Mistress Zine down for the first time, which was pretty awesome. Went on to Desolate Host and made a single pull on Desolate Host. It's a pretty complicated fight. That one's going to take us a little time to get the dance down, I think. But I think once we get it down, once people get used to their sides, especially if we get people to continue to go onto the same side, they get used to what they have to do on that particular side. I think it's doable. But we only got the one pull, so it's really hard to say how we'll do in the future on that.
But it was nice. It was nice to get the feel for it, though. You go in there, you get a sense of what are the steps going to be, where we're going to go, how the mechanics are going to work, and that gives you a sense of confidence going in. I think next time, knowing you don't have as much setup time, and because we took quite a bit to set it up as we needed to. Sure, and I think I'm also gonna. I think there's a few key week ors that I'm going to be making for myself, and that other folks might want in the raid group. Just little reminders. Things to let us know if we've got the wither on us, clearly, just because DBM tells you that you get wither on you, but it really doesn't tell you when it goes away or anything like that, or if you get the other one, the ticking thing that unlocks the ads on that fight on the corporeal side. If you're on the spirit side, that could be another handy one.
Are you talking about the arrow?
No, not the arrow. That one's the up top. I mean, that's in the corporeal side. There's that one. That one probably be another useful one. Just something to give a little extra warning or something. I didn't see that one because I was in the spirit realm side on this particular poll that we did. But I just saw a couple opportunities for some weak ors that might be handy for that fight.
All right. So I was just informed by Mommy, though, that we did get Sisters of the Moon down on Friday. And then we worked solely on Sazine, and then got the one Desolate Host poll on Friday.
All right. Okay. I couldn't remember if we got Sisters down on Friday or on Saturday.
Yeah, she reminded me that Mac from the Goblin Goldcast wasn't there, so that's why we got it down.
Yeah. That's right. He did come in. Yeah.
He showed up afterwards and like, oh yeah, so I heard you got Sisters down without me. Yes, and we said thank you.
That's why it was okay that I missed a couple of days this weekend, because we didn't have to keep him up.
That's right. All right. So let's talk a little bit about. Well, let's talk about Sazine first. We did. We brought in kind of a pinch hitter, I think, for the heels because we were missing Tap. She was out screaming.
Loudly.
But
you guys didn't hear me?
Yeah, we did in the background as you were dying. But I think we made really good progress on Sazine. There's a lot at the end that it happens so fast. That third phase, we kind of went back and forth on when to use hero. Epistle, I know you liked to hold off a little longer. And then Jobui is like, yeah, but by the time we do that, a lot of our members are down. So we went back to trying it right before the ads came out. Wasn't that where we did it, Jobui?
Yeah, I popped
Beginning of
it
third
just
phase.
Beginning of third phase, but not right at the very beginning of third phase. I waited until just as the first group of ads were coming along.
Yeah, they melted pretty fast. They tend to anyways. That's why I'm always thinking it's when we get to the ads and they're not going down. That's when I like to see the hero going.
But the hero was still going when we got our second set of ads. So we got those melted pretty quick too. And honestly, I think it lines up a little bit better just because, even when I was looking at the logs for the win on when we got that, we get into that third phase and then we start losing players. They just start dropping. And so that's players that never got to use a hero at all throughout the entire fight because they died before the hero went off. So I don't know. I think getting it into that third phase, like towards the beginning of the third phase while we still have more players up, is a bit more advantageous than waiting until the ads start getting heavier.
This is one of those things, though, right, where we're just so close. We're just on the cusp of being able to take the boss down, and we did. And sometimes you just need that one little nudge, that one little difference. And I think it's good to be adjusting and trying one thing, trying another. Consistency is key, of course, but sometimes you have to experiment with just a slightly different approach and see if that's gonna break that log jam and get you through and get that boss down. And it felt like we just had enough. Now I wonder, are we going to be able to do it next week? Are people sort of skilled enough, comfortable enough that it's going to become a regular thing, or are we going to have a few setbacks?
It's hard saying. I think it's gonna. I don't think Mistress Azine is a on-farm boss for us yet by any stretch of the means, just because we got her down once. I think that's going to be a boss where we're going to need the right combination of players. We're going to need enough strong AoE to make sure those ads are getting taken out. We're going to need players who are familiar with the mechanics and are doing them well enough that they're not getting crushed by the mechanics in second phase or first phase, or even towards the beginning of third phase. Like they really need to try and survive as long as possible, because once we get later on into that third phase, those ads start piling up so much that if we lose half of our DPS, then we're going to be hard pressed to get enough of those ads down so that when the tornadoes come through, they don't kill us all. It's just this cascade failure that starts if people start dying off. So I think the skill in the mechanics and the skill at their individual classes from heals through DPS, tanks have been solid, except for the occasional whoops that comes out.
Yeah, the mistaunting on that can be fatal. It is one of those things that we can just say, you know what, we're all dead now because I pushed the button at the wrong time. Or any tank can do it, and that's a very delicate balance, and you're kind of on edge as a tank on that one. But yeah, we do have that dance down pretty straightforwardly. But yeah, isn't it that we have this overload thing? All these pieces are flying on a new fight, and then you have to pay attention to which one is the critical one that's getting us killed, which one is important but not as much. So it's the chickens running around scattered and frightened that I think we're getting past that stage now in the heroic fight. So I'm optimistic we'll be doing better, but I wouldn't guarantee consistency yet.
Well, I heard you say a couple of times, and maybe it was Durag, but it sounded like DBM was off a little bit in third phase. Was that an issue for you guys?
We had to compensate and we know the fight well enough that wasn't too much of a problem. But yeah, it was doing very strange random stuff. So it was telling me that the debuff wasn't on Darg, it was actually on, at one point it was, craziest thing.
It's on Mac's wife.
Yes, yeah, that's right. It was on Mac's wife, and I was like, "What? How? She didn't taunt. That's not possible." And then at one point, Darg is given the alarm to taunt off of Darg, which is like, what?
I think I wasn't there this week, but even last weekend, you guys were talking about some of that being off too. I don't know if it was to that extent, but DBM was a little off during some of those fights.
Yeah, so we had to just ignore DBM and kind of go manual mode and watch debuffs like a hawk. But we got
interesting.
And the deaths that we had were really in that fight. Were kind of spread out. We only had 2 deaths to Hydra shot during that fight. Once very early in the fight, we had a double up that nailed Spicy. There was 2 Hydra shots that hit him because they were overlapped because they weren't placed nicely, and he got hit by both. And I don't know if he's just not stepping out far enough so that he's getting clipped by the second one, or if they were overlapping a lot, or if they were just really tight or what. But he got hit by 2 and died. And then we had like a mix of other things. One person got eaten by the whale, and that fight was just too close to the wall, got eaten by the whale. One person died from crashing a wave during the whole fight. Stafford.
What?
Yeah.
Did you do that?
It's funny though because
that's the easiest one. I mean,
I know,
man.
But I swear to God, I was actually off. But there was a purple, thing on the floor there, and I didn't want to step in the purple because I already had one, so I didn't want to hit a second one. So I stepped in between, and I could have swore I was far enough out, but I wasn't. I was just on the cusp.
I think when you pick up a purple, I think you're actually immune to picking up a second one until the first one drops off with the purple, with the ink, But then we had 2 people that got eaten by the Murlocs during the fight, but it was much later in the fight.
You can't get rid of them then.
No, you can't, and I think it just gradually ticked away at them, ate them up. We lost a healer and a DPS to those guys. We had 3 people die to slicing tornado near the end of the fight, and the rest was we only had 1 befouling ink from picking up something, and that was probably an accumulation of damage, not so much just the ink itself, because there was a lot going on at that point in the fight. Because we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players die in 3 seconds. From 7 minutes and 18 seconds to 7 minutes and 21 seconds. So we had a pile of players all get smoked within 3 seconds. But that's right at the end of the fight. I think we finished the fight 30 seconds later after those players went down.
Yeah, and it's crazy that last phase. Everything, you're getting crashing wave and Hydra shot. There's purple all over the place. It's nuts.
How many polls did you guys do it on?
Oh boy, I don't even know.
I think we lost count.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was.
I do know we've had 24 fails.
Yeah, it was. It was most of raid time, an hour and a half of failures until the 1 success, I think. We did start a few minutes late on Saturday, because I don't think we actually did our first poll till close to the turn of the hour. But I think on that fight, a lot of it is going to be the comfortability of the mechanics. As all of our players get really comfortable with each of those mechanics that are coming up, and it becomes like just second nature. Where they're like, oh, I have the Murloc, I got to stand in the electricity thing, and oh, I've got the I've got to put the Hydra shot in the right spot, and got to stay off the wall so I don't get eaten by a whale. And while there's a lot of mechanics there, I think once it becomes just by rote, then
like the others do.
Yeah, it's just going to take some practice. I think getting those, and it's obvious that all of our players are getting better at those mechanics because we're getting further and we actually killed it. But I think there's still room for improvement for all of us, of course.
Yeah, and then there's the time when really bad luck just comes together. It's that time you saw Spicy go down it. Maybe it was that one or another time. I remember him having to run to avoid Hydra shot and ran into a tornado, or something like that. It was just trying to avoid one thing, got killed by another, and I just caught that off the side and thought, oops. That's where it's really great to have a battle res to use for something like that when it happens, rather than having to do it just because people are not quite on top of the mechanics yet. Sometimes bad luck happens.
Absolutely. And, I got to give a shout out to Stafford. He has been more on top of the res, calling for reses lately and pulling up players a little bit sooner, which I think has been a big help. Like if we have a strong DPS go down early, we're using that res and getting that player up and getting them back in the game, which I think is helping with the boss fights in general, being more on point with that.
Well, it's a tough call because you lose one early on, it's pretty much go ahead and get them up. But in the middle of the fight, when you've only got one res sitting there, and if you throw up a DPS and all of a sudden a tank goes down, you just wipe the whole group. Especially when there's like 3 minutes left.
Yeah,
it can be touchy.
But like when we're looking at numbers like what we had there, I mean, we're like let's say even a strong or even a middle of the road DPS goes down. They're doing like 500 million damage to that boss over the course of the fight. The boss and the ads. And if they go down at the halfway mark, that's 250 million damage. That's not going out the rest of the fight if they're down. That's just as bad as losing a tank. As far as our success chance goes, anyway.
Well, and sometimes it's a tank killer mechanic, and the tanks are at risk of going down for whatever reason, just because of the nature of the fight. But then there's some that we're usually good at mitigating and self-healing, and there's not really much of a problem. So you kind of also have to know the fight to know whether we're going to lose a tank or heals.
Sure, absolutely.
So Tapatino was asking how many wipes we did before we got our kill. We did 8 wipes and 1 kill.
Oh, okay.
That's actually not that bad, considering how hard the fight is when you don't know it. Well, when you're starting out.
Well, and our second pull only lasted 2 minutes and 57 seconds.
Was that the?
That was probably Mist Hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the one where one of the tanks went down. We didn't have a res for another couple minutes, and so we just said, let's wipe it up.
Yep. So, that was a pull, but.
Right. Still counts.
Yeah.
That was the mulligan.
Yeah.
You can't take that away from the, from the numbers, but you can call it what it is.
I do have to admit that as a DPS, I really enjoy that fight just simply because of the number of ads. While I know that it's not direct damage to the boss, I really love seeing those inflated numbers from being able to hit all those extra ads.
Yeah. Definitely. And, we didn't do too bad on Desolate Host either. We got him down to 38%.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, that was good for the first time.
Phase or
now,
overall?
what's the big difference with the Desolate Host? Is from heroic to normal, or normal to heroic?
A bunch.
Yeah, it really is a different fight.
A lot of different stuff.
I mean, there's a lot of the same stuff, but there's like these new mechanics that really change how you play it, and what happens during the fight. Like, I mean, players get tossed from one side to the other side, whether they're on the spirit side or the corporeal side. That there are mechanics that'll send them from one side to the other, and then if you're on the wrong side of the room, you start AOE damaging players that you can't even see, and there's a bunch of different mechanics. It's pretty interesting fight, but it's pretty complex. I'd highly recommend, and this, I don't know if all of our raiders heard it. I highly recommend everybody going out and watching that video. I'm gonna watch. I've watched it before, but I was rusty on it. I'm gonna watch it again, probably a couple of times.
Yeah, I saw it was posted on our guild webpage. The fight was.
Yep.
The great thing for the tank, for this tank, the position I'm doing, I don't have to do too much. It's a nice
Right. Yeah, you
change.
just have to stand there and tank it.
Yeah, I sashay a little bit back and forth, but compared to the insanity that is Sazine, it'll be somewhat relatively peaceful for me.
Yeah. So like the spear got me. Now the first time I got spear, I just turtled it, and I was like, yeah, that was easy. And my turtle was still on cooldown when I got it the second time. So I backed up away from everybody and did not realize, because I had turtled the first one, did not realize it shoots you backwards. And off the edge I went again.
Yep.
Yeah, we should definitely make sure I was put on the spirit side, but we should definitely make sure we're putting our mages up on the corporeal side. I'm not super familiar with that side, but I mean I can ice block twice in a fight. So
yeah.
And so can any of the other mages.
Yeah, I agree with you there. We need to get the mages and all the hunters on that side, on the corporeal side. Just because, I mean, granted, it's not going to do you any good if you've already used it once and it's on cooldown. You go to use it again, and it's not there for you.
Right. Well, I guess it depends. For now, I should be able to use it twice, because pretty soon I think I'm going to be switching to fire again.
Woohoo!
Yeah. He announced fire is going to be the new to be spec for mages.
That's what I'm hearing. That's the story anyway. That's what I've been hearing. The rumor is that fire's making a comeback in the next raid, but
so
we'll
they've
see.
come to their senses.
Yeah, but apparently it all comes down to the tier stuff. But yeah, but fire mages can only ice block the one time. They don't have the instant reset that ice mages or frost mages do. But still, we should have all of our mages and hunters up there. We have enough hunters that we could almost put, some nights we have 5-6 hunters, and a couple of mages. It could be all immunity people up on the corporeal side.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice? But corporeal really isn't that tough. I mean, I started off on spirit. I think I did my first 2 polls on normal on the spirit side, and then got switched to corporeal and found corporeal to be a lot easier. You just got to watch for those things that throw you backwards, because I like to stay further away, but it's just rotating between the little mini bosses there to get those down, and then making sure you're putting your purple triangle next to each other. So when those start coming out, as soon as the first one drops, I go stand right next to the edge of where that one dropped. So if I get it, I'm going to drop it right next to that one. It's the purple circles that are a pain in the butt, because you don't have any control. They plop right where you were, so they don't move with you. It's just wherever you're at. So
really
you have to make sure you're out there before they drop.
And that was a good thing the video showed, was it dropped those on that outer ring near the edge, and then nobody goes into that area until they disappear.
Exactly. So I don't think we'll have. I mean, we're gonna pull a few times on it, but where we got it down to 38% on the first time we did it in heroic, I'm thinking we're gonna do pretty well on that one. I think Mr. Sazine's still gonna give us a little trouble, just because of the hecticness of the last phase. Everything comes fast. I mean, there's no more. Oh, here goes the whale. Okay, or the shark or whatever it is. The crashing wave, and then you can go do something else. It's like crashing wave. Oh crap! Here comes the arrows. You got to get everybody lined up in those. And we found that when the tank moves the boss, it moves the arrows. It moves the lines also. So we got to kind of watch that. I mentioned that to Darag. I think it was on the last poll, right before the last poll, and he didn't move around as much, and I think that seemed to help us with that. Yeah, because I know there was a couple of times JobUi's standing there, he's got it. I step in front of him, and then tank moves, and the boss moves over, and then I'm out of the line.
I'm wondering if we have everybody stay more stacked up in that fight, not on top of each other necessarily, but not spread out so much. And I don't know, maybe even just sort of assign sides if possible. You can group up toward a side and then in the middle. That way, when the shots come out, there's always people ready to get in the lines instead of people having to run across the room to do that. That might work.
Yeah, it's just so hard with that. You could probably do that for the first couple of phases, but really we don't have too much problem then. It's on that last phase where crashing wave comes, and as soon as crashing wave comes, you've got the arrows coming out. And, you got somebody clear across one side of the room and two people on this side or all three on the same side.
That's what I'm thinking. If people stay more grouped, let me use the word grouped instead of stacked. That would be grouped together. Then they're not all the way across the room when they need to be closer to the boss.
Yeah, I think
that might work better.
I think it could definitely help. I know that one thing that I do on the Hydra shot, just because I have blink, is I'll sit back for a second and see if there's one that just has less people in it, and I'll blink over and try and get in that one as quickly as I can, just so that trying to spread out the numbers a little bit. But there are times like you're saying where players get stuck on the other side of the room, and that can be something as simple as thought the tanks were going to take the boss that way, or just were close enough to that side already that just had to move into that because it didn't make any sense to run clear to the other side of the room. So but it's such a hectic ending, on that thing. I feel like it'll be like one of those things where if we try and plan our positioning too much, it'll be one of those things where, like the plan gets tossed out the window like 10 seconds into the third phase as all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
It's a stacking chaos fight.
Yeah.
At the third phase, I try and keep myself facing the boss and casting spells, but mostly I'm trying to watch my feet and watch what's around me so I can handle the mechanics. I'm looking for those green lines. I'm trying not to run into the purple. I'm trying to set up my green line if I happen to get Hydra shot. It's just a really complex part of the fight.
The word fun comes to mind.
I enjoy it, sure.
I do too.
Organized chaos.
Yep.
So yeah, sorry, Tap, you didn't get to make that one.
I know, and I have a quest for it too.
If it makes you feel any better,
I'm like,
I didn't get any loot on it, but
Stafford got something special for his birthday.
That's
I
right.
think about loot because me with loot.
But Tap,
What'd
you
you
didn't
get,
hear what Faffer got for his birthday.
If it's out of the game, I did.
No, in the game. But
in the game,
out
no,
of the game, out of the game was pretty cool. Although I have to tell this story. So, Donna, if you guys haven't seen it, maybe I'll post it on the Facebook page for everybody to see.
Awesome.
But it's on the Guild Facebook page, but not on the podcast Facebook. But we'll post it there. But Donna drew up my character, and I'm the hunter. So I got a T-shirt, I got a mouse pad, and I got a coffee cup with this on it. And the day it showed up, now she lives up in Canada, and we're down here in the States. So there's some, back and forth, and then getting a printer and all this stuff. So finally it ships, and it showed up one weekday, and our dogs were outside. And my son, Durag, has this German Shepherd puppy, and it loves to eat everything. Well, the mailman left the package out on the porch, and the dog ate the package.
Oh,
so
no.
My daughter comes home from school, she gets off the bus, and they drop her right off in front of the house. And she looks out there and she goes, "What is that white thing hanging from Quinn's mouth?" So she calls him over, and it's a T-shirt. So she calls me, and she's in a panic, because the dog got into this box, and it's all over the yard. And I'm like, "Well, what is it?" So she told me, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, you just ruined my birthday present. So you better call Mom, and we'll tell her we didn't have this conversation, and I'll act surprised on my birthday when I unwrap it." So that was the interesting part behind all that. Thanks to the dog, I got to know what I got a week before my birthday.
It was a good thing you didn't eat the T-shirt.
Oh, I know. When she said it was in his mouth, I was just like, oh my God, it's ruined. But and I never got to see it because they had to do this whole hide it from dad thing.
I have to say,
It looks pretty good though in the picture.
Yeah, that was a very, very shirty thing of your dog to do.
Yeah, right. At least he didn't go bury the mug.
Oh,
I guess the dog's DPS.
Yeah. So the dog didn't exactly eat my homework, but it ate my birthday present. Oh, and even better, they wrapped it in the box the dog ate.
Oh, no.
So I could share in Quinn's love.
How do you feel now about your dog?
Hey, it's not my dog. It's Durag's dog.
It still exists, so that's something.
Yeah.
So what did you get in game? Since I unfortunately couldn't make it.
So I got the mount that drops from Sazine.
No way!
Yeah.
Awesome.
Isn't that the one that you always wanted?
That's so cool. So that's the worm, right? That cool looking worm. Oh, congrats! That's fantastic.
I didn't even know there was a mount there.
I think it was Sky. I remember last week. She's like, "I want my mount." Before we started that fight. That's awesome. That's a pretty cool mount.
Yeah. So I was pretty impressed.
And then you got something on the fight before that too, didn't you?
I did. I got my epic chest piece.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was just like bam.
Yeah.
I gotta let Blizzard know when it's my birthday. Maybe that's the only way I'll get any gear to drop.
I was going to say to all of our fans, if it's your birthday, make sure you're raiding that night. There may be some sort of little computer program thing they throw in there that says, oh, it's this client's birthday. We better throw him something nice.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's worked for me ever.
It's never worked for me.
I don't think so. I mean, I know I've played some WoW on my birthday, and I don't recall ever, getting a mount and a legendary or anything like that on my birthday.
But were you heroic raiding?
I don't know. I might have been.
See, I think it was heroic raiding without Mac being there. From the Goblin Gold.
So did you tell the family, hey, thanks for the T-shirt, but I got a mount?
Oh, no, because I didn't get my birthday was actually on Saturday. So she didn't give me the present till Saturday morning when I got up. And I got all this on Friday, actually the day before my birthday. So
yeah. That was good timing then.
Nice.
Yep. It was pretty cool. I felt pretty special.
Well, you are pretty special, Stafford.
Well, yeah,
you are the hunter after all.
Right? Just so the fans know, so my T-shirt says, "Blame the hunter," because that seems to be the theme of everybody when everything goes wrong. But my coffee mug says, "I'm not a hunter, I'm the hunter," and that's Mr. Huntard to you.
There's some respect. Finally, some respect.
That's right. And then, of course, my mouse pad, which I'm going to take to work, says "Blame the hunter." So no, it was really awesome. I mean, that was fantastic. I want to thank Donna personally. She's our digital artist that does our videos. You can watch her draw, and I think she's probably for this podcast going to be drawing my hunter. So we'll wait and see. I'm always excited to see what she draws. So guys, well, it's we got 20 minutes left, and I think it's time. I hear that music. It's time for Lorelei's Pet Battle Minute.
Well, today there's some whispers and rumors from the PTR. There are rumblings about a new pet in our future. Its name is Toddle, and it's a baby Tortolan, similar in appearance to Tortala in Cataclysm. We all love the baby versions of pets, so keep your fingers crossed on this one. Rumors of 2 new mounts have surfaced as well. The Sea Braid Stallion mount for the Alliance and the Armored Raptor mount for the Horde have those collectors buzzing with excitement. No idea yet when these new mounts and pets will be available, but I'm hoping that we'll get some news at BlizzCon. There's a possibility that these will be available with the next expansion or in the collector's edition, so it'll be a while before we see them. And speaking of BlizzCon, don't forget to get your virtual ticket. This year you can get both the Stormwind Skychaser and the Orgrimmar Interceptor. And Naxi is still available from the candy and toy vendors during Hallows End, so make sure you're checking candy buckets and doing the dailies. I've already gotten 2, and they're selling very well right now in the auction house. I'm looking forward to the Christmas event, and hopefully there'll be new pets available. And who doesn't love using some mistletoe to turn their favorite mount into a flying reindeer? And I'll see you next week.
And then there's
Getting Themes with JobUi.
This week I'm gonna keep it really simple. We are approaching our artifact knowledge level 50. That is gonna hit on this Tuesday, which I think is just after this broadcast, or this podcast. So get out there and get your artifact knowledge from those world quests. You know, it's gonna be as good as it's gonna get. You can get quite a few billion per day. This applies to all of your alts as well. Even if you have an op spec that's a little bit behind, you can get it caught up very, very quickly by just running around, doing some world quests, picking up that artifact power, and getting that concordance level boosted up. On top of the concordance itself, you'll also unlock some additional ranks for your relics of the from the Neither Shard or the Neither. Is it Neither Shard? Yeah, Neither Shard Crucible. So get out there, get some of your artifact power, and get those weapons leveled up.
and our tank and address.
What's wrong with tanking? What's wrong with tanking? What's wrong with tanking in a dress? What's wrong with tanking? What's wrong with tanking? What's wrong with tanking in a dress?
Whoosh! Epistle the Second is about a level and a half away from getting to 110. It has been a lightning fast process. I've had little time here and there to level them up. It's been rather surprisingly fun to level up a tank again. There's something to be said for knowing the content, but also knowing the spec and the way it works, and being able to do dungeons lightning fast. So, couple things that are useful to know if you're ever going to be leveling a tank. One is the queues, as you may or may not know, are really super fast. That gets you in, and lower levels, you can get 1 or 2 dungeons, 1 or 2 levels in a dungeon. Higher levels, things like invasions can really help you out. Also really helps if you have heirloom gear, which is what I've been doing. However, I wanted to take just a moment to shine a light into one of the problems I see in leveling, and it's particularly obvious for tanks. There is a kind of an instant feast and famine going on. So in low levels, you can level really quickly. There's a lot available. You might run one once or twice and go up 4 or 5 levels in the process. It's kind of enjoyable to visit old instances and see how fast you can burn through them. However, as you go up, something quirky starts to happen, and I haven't mapped it out in great detail, but it works a little like this. Somewhere around level 58, 68, 78, you get to go running in the big boy dungeons. So whatever the next expansion is, you can queue early for those, which is cool. But at the same time, there's a lot of dungeons that aren't available until you hit, say, level 60 or 70 or 80. So there's this weird feast or famine thing that goes on. You go with the same old dungeon that you've been going 2 or 3 or 4 times in to try to level, and all of a sudden you hit that peak and you can go any of those dungeons again, but also some of the new content. However, you can't do some of the older content that's level 70. So, or level 60 or level 80. So it's like you go from having very few dungeons you could run to a whole bunch of new ones. And so I ended up missing, I'd say about 8 or 10 different dungeons that I was looking forward to going and seeing again because I leveled so fast they were no longer eligible. So, for example, you could do a dungeon at level 60, maybe some heroics, but as soon as you get 61, they're no longer eligible. You've only got the new ones. So if you're really particular about which dungeons you're going to run, just know that there's going to be this quirky path where you go from lots of great options and things you haven't done for forever to suddenly having to do the same old for like 4 or 5 levels. And that's been a Tanking Minute.
All right, and then there's...
Hi, it's Tapachino with your Tap into the Healing Minute. Today's topic is, damn, those tanks are out healing me. For the past several months, you may have noticed, as I have, that tanks have been doing a tremendous amount of healing. So much so that our DK tank Durag is usually in the top 2 of my healing meters. But do not fret, my fellow healers. Though tanks may seem to be out healing us, they are in fact really not. Tanks are taking some pretty heavy damage, and the healing they are producing is all for themselves, which, by the way, we should be thankful for. The more they can do themselves, the less we have to heal. Although, if you've noticed, even with their self-heals and heavy fights, we're still having to throw a lot of healing spells at them to keep them alive, as well as having to heal the rest of the raid, and of course keep ourselves alive as well. So remember, numbers don't tell the whole story, and keep on doing your thing. And that is my Tap into the Healing Minute.
Awesome! And now the news. WFN News, Warcraft Stafford News. Mage Tower is up at the Broken Shores with fell treasures and knowledgeable. Yes, knowledgeable. The weekly event is the World Quest bonus, so get out there and get those World Quests done and get your bonuses. The Day of the Dead starts Wednesday and ends Friday this week, so don't forget, you only got a couple of days there to be part of the Day of the Dead. There's a lot of cool little achievements and stuff you can get. WoW tokens. Wow. 187. Just a few weeks ago, I remember saying, oh my gosh, it's up to 160. So they're climbing. I know. So if you're paying for your WoW with the WoW token gold, yeah. It's creeping up, so don't be slacking. Go out, get your tokens now while you've got the cash. Well, guys, we're going to cut it a little short, but I do want to make an announcement that the Goblin Goldcast is going to BlizzCon. How many of you guys are going to BlizzCon?
I got the
in my
virtual.
living room.
Yep,
From your
the virtual ticket.
Yeah, I'm going to be sitting right here at my computer.
So we got 2 virtuals. What did you say, Epistle? Are you virtual?
I just said, just given my timing, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to this year.
Yeah. Yep.
Nope.
I'm not.
When does that start again? When is
Starts Friday.
Friday?
Yep.
Oh boy.
Yep. But the boys from the Goblin Goldcast, I know they're actually going, and I know one of our raiders, Charity, Love Sweet Charity, she's going, and they're going to try to. I'm going to say hook up, but that's not what I mean. They're going to try to meet.
They're going to try to meet up.
Yep. Which is really cool, which is what I really love about Warcraft, guys. I mean, I've met some of our people from, we live in Montana, and I've met my Canadian buddy up there, Bissell. I've been to his house, and I've used his bathroom, so that was really nice.
And Donna's around the corner. The upstairs or the downstairs? The upstairs is not great. The downstairs is the nice one.
Okay, well, see, you didn't tell me about the downstairs one. I used the upstairs.
I saved that for special people.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, and Donna is there also, so we got to meet them. We went out to Seattle, and we met a couple of people out there. Faye, for one, and I know Tap's been wanting to meet Faye for years.
Oh, yeah.
So, but they live literally on opposite ends of the country.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think I'm probably closer to Epistle than to Vey.
Yeah, maybe.
you are. But I mean, that's a really cool thing about WoW is that you can. I didn't feel apprehensive about meeting anybody, at all. I mean, when we were in Seattle, a couple of the raiders came up from Oregon, and we all went to the AFK Tavern, which is a really cool spot in Seattle. If any Warcraft people ever make it to Seattle, you've got to go to the AFK Tavern. You can look it up online. They have a Facebook page. It is all dedicated to gaming, and World of Warcraft is one of their Soule games that they always talk about.
Wow, that's awesome.
Their menu is absolutely awesome. It has to do with Dungeons and Dragons, World of Warcraft, and they have like a +2 battle dwarven toast. It's nothing more than cheese toast, but it's got a cool name. And their drink menu.
That's really neat.
Their drink menu is awesome too. So they actually bring you a 4-sided dice, and you have to roll a dice to see which one of the drinks you're going to get because they have a table.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's an awesome. If you
I
ever
wanna
make it
go.
out there, seriously, go visit the AFK Tavern. There's my plug for Seattle. So
there is something worth going to in Seattle.
Well, yeah, besides Faye.
Besides Faye.
So,
something else worth going to see.
Something else. So, all right, guys. Well, I think we're going to call it an early episode. I want to thank Charm for her beautiful music. Please go visit her website and her YouTube channel. The links are in the description below. We've got BenSound from BenSound.com. And our newest music is from Vincent Moretto. And we're going to leave off with that. His information is also in the description below. So we'll see you all next week, guys. Thanks for coming.
Thank you all.
Bye, everybody. Have a good week.
If you like this podcast, throw us a like and subscribe to our channel. And please, leave comments or questions below. Maybe we'll answer them on the air next podcast. We are hosted on Podomatic.com. Our website is Lionspridetavern.podomatic.com. Our podcast also airs on iTunes for Apple users, Google Play for Androids, and YouTube. Just search World of Warcraft Lions Pride Tavern podcast. See you next week, and thanks for listening.